When people think of the Principality of Zeon, the Zaku often comes to mind first, perhaps the Dom, or a few others. These two mobile suits not only formed the backbone of the Zeon military, but also represented the core achievements of the companies that developed them, Zeonic and ZMAD. These two corporations have a long-standing rivalry. Since their inception, both sought to outdo each other in the mobile suit and weapons development, with Zeonic typically taking the lead. But while Zeonic and ZMAD battled for prominence, another company operated quietly in the background, focused more on innovation than recognition. This lesser-known firm would ultimately lay the foundation for the future of weapons technology. MIP. Who knows if that's an acronym for anything? Was a weapons company based at Granada and has existed since at least before UC 0071, developing and producing weapons and possibly spacecraft for private entities. When Site 3 declared independence, the Principality was pronounced, and MIP began to shift its focus onto proper military-grade research and development. It's not exactly clear whether this was their own initiative or due to the urging of the Zabi family. When UC 0071 came around and the Zeon government opened a competition for a weapon system capable of overpowering the numerically superior Earth Federation Navy, MIP was one of 5 companies that accepted the endeavor. Zeonic and ZMAD went with a similar route and envisioned a machine that is small, mobile, yet powerful. MIP, on the other hand, whether due to funding issues or just a simple lack of vision, opted to take what already existed and turn it to something more. They took the concept of a worker pod, a ball if you will, and turned it to something akin to a fighter. Worker pods were already an established and proven technology, so why not take them and apply our own technologies to them to turn them into something lethal? That was the thinking when they created MIP-X1 and submitted it to the competition. The MIP-X1 competed against Zeonic's Z1XA3 Crabman. The two designs couldn't be more different from one another. The X1 was built on mostly existing technologies, and as such was a safe design. Zeonic, on the other hand, pioneered technology that would be widely used for the years to come. While the competition did ask for weapons to take on the Federation's navy, the Crabman showed capabilities to function under gravity. While it may not have been on Zeon's mind at the time, upon seeing its capability, they saw the potential of what Zeonic's design was able to evolve into. This, and coupled with the fact that the Ambak system showed complete superiority over conventional motive systems, made the choice easy for Zeon. Soon, Zeonic would be chosen as the winner, and resources were given to continue the development of their technologies. This is not to say that MIP failed, however. While the design did use conventional technologies, that was one part of the X1 that intrigued Zeon. The prototype was equipped with a mega particle cannon, a weapon that compresses Manovsky particles to a single devastating beam. Until the X1, these weapons were only available for warships as their reactors were large enough to power them. For MIP to be able to create something much smaller but still able to utilize the weapon was nothing short of revolutionary. While the design was not chosen, Zeon still decided to fund the company to further their research into beam technology. Things seemed quiet for the next few years. Zeonic and ZMAD were busy with their mobile suits projects, while MIP quietly continued the development of beam technology. That was until just before the War of Independence began. While the mobile suit undoubtedly proved its capability against the entire Federation army, as it was able to function as a versatile weapon, there was one limiting factor of the mobile suit: its shape. Most, if not all, mobile suits, whether they be early or late models, are all built around the humanoid shape. This is great for versatility, as, just like humans, all that was needed to switch out the equipment for proper ones that fit the job. What was not so great was the inherent limitation of the structure. The humanoid shape limited the internal space to fit in technologies that were not yet miniaturized to be a usable point. For example, a reactor strong enough to handle beam weapons unassisted. This was not an issue for something not so human. The Battle of Loom signaled that the days of warships armed to the teeth were numbered. Most of the later ships after this point would be designed with carrying capability first before direct combat capabilities. But to completely abandon technologies like the mega particle beam cannon would be unwholly unrealistic due to the sheer damage potential for such weapons. So, they needed to evolve. They needed something agile as a mobile suit, but still as devastating as a battleship. Zeon had already known who to turn to achieve such feats. MIP was instructed to revisit their previous prototype and see if they could improve it and turn it into something usable. What came from this was not one, but two mobile armors. The first one was completely new design. The MA04X Zacrello, from my guess, was made to test the waters, see if MIP was able to create something that was not only functional, but producible, but also combat ready. The Zacrello was envisioned as a fast hit-and-run weapon system, and it was fast. With its two thruster nacelles, it could reach speeds of which we have no idea, as no one has given specific numbers, unfortunately. While it was fast, it could barely turn, as MIP did not give the mobile armor sufficient directional thrusters. The main weapon of this machine would of course be a downsized mega particle cannon, a weapon system that MIP has been developing ever since the X1. The Zacrello didn't really work as intended, but it did work, and that was probably what they wanted to find out. But weirdly enough, even though this is a spacesuit, this thing was developed at California base. It says it right here. With the Zacrello built and subsequently cancelled, MIP looked back to the original X1 and began working on a successor directly based on the prototype. This would become the MA05 Bigro. From a visual standpoint, it is very obvious that these two machines share a heritage. The previous Zacrello was very fast but lacked the mobility seen on mobile suits. MIP learned from this and incorporated some directional thrusters and an unbuck system installed in the claw arms to improve the agility of this mobile armor. With both motive systems working together, the Bigro was able to make a full 180-degree turn in about 1.3 seconds. The Mega Particle Cannon could also be found as mobile armor, being housed inside of a beak section in the front of the machine. The bulkness of the Bigro allowed MIP to install another system that is usually only found on ships, the Minovsky Particle Scattering System, which will render this deadly fast machine invisible to sensors until the very last moment. The Bigro was also weirdly enough developed at California base and not in space at a sensible place like Grenada. What is not weird to be developed at California base though was the MAM07 Grublo, which was essentially the amphibious version of the Bigro. It was almost identical in look and function, the only difference being the lack of mega particle cannon. Apparently it was planned to have one put on, but since the Grublo never really entered mass production, it never did. MIP stayed out of the mobile suit race scene between Zeonic and Zmod, except for that one time. When Zeon was looking to replace the GOG, MIP decided to dip their toes into the mobile suit market. Personally, I think this was to test out their beam technologies, see if the beam tech was ready for mass production and general MS use. What came from this was the MSM07 ZGOG, or ZGOG. The ZGOG is most likely a joint development by MIP and Zmod. With Zmod turning to focus on the DOM series of MS, they gave away data on the GOG to MIP to help with the development of their one and only mobile suit. The ZGOG is one of the few Zeon mobile suits to have beam weaponry as standard. This was in part due to the larger body compared to conventional mobile suits, which allowed a larger reactor, and also due to the cooling provided by the sea. Being a second-generation amphibious suit, the ZGOG had better capabilities to function out of the water compared to the GOG. Aiming was made easier, the particle cannons fit into the arms, and the head-mounted missile launcher made the mobile suit less vulnerable to air attacks, which the GOG had limited defense against. It has been said that, at least on paper, the ground performance of the ZGOG was not only comparable, but superior to any mass-produced Earth Federation mobile suit during the war. But unfortunately for Xeon, the Zgok was expensive to build and maintain, and the controls as well were noted to be very difficult. While mobile armor and mobile suit production were by no means small undertakings, for MIP they were more like side projects. What MIP truly specialized in was beam technology. Since the development of the X1, the company had been focused on making beam weaponry a viable system for the mobile suits fielded by Xeon. The defection and subsequent death of Dr. Manovsky dealt a major blow to their research efforts, as they were left to decipher the complex physics he had discovered without his guidance. MIP's first significant attempt, if it can be called that, at creating a mobile suit-capable beam weapon was the EXT-2 beam bazooka for the Rig Dom. This weapon used its own internal reactor for power and demonstrated immense destructive potential. However, it was soon found to be dangerously unstable. The beam bazooka would randomly explode after extended use, rendering it impractical for combat deployment. But despite its failure, the project generated valuable data that MIP would later build upon. When development on the Gelgoog began, MIP was tasked, alongside Albert, of designing weapons for Xeon's next-generation mobile suit. Albert took charge of the beam Naginata, while MIP was finally able to create a functional mobile suit scale beam rifle. They resolved the critical instability issue by integrating the energy cap system, technology that Xeon operatives had managed to steal from the Earth Federation. The energy cap, essentially an energy magazine, stores pre-compressed Manovsky particles that only require a small ignition to be fired as a beam. The output from mobile suit reactors was sufficient to provide this ignition. This new beam rifle was set to match or even slightly surpass the performance of the one used by the Gundam. Unfortunately, just like the Gelgoog itself, it was never produced in sufficient numbers to change the course of the war. After the war, like many other Xeon-affiliated companies, MIP was absorbed into Anaheim Electronics. Initially, MIP retained some degree of autonomy and was responsible for developing most, if not all, of the beam weapons used in Anaheim's mobile suits. However, this independence was short-lived. Eventually, MIP was fully integrated into Anaheim's own beam weapons division. Since then, MIP name exists solely as a brand label. And that was a quick look into MIP, the other Xeon company that people may not know of. Maybe they do. I don't know. I feel like if you're watching Gundam lore videos, you probably know what a thing about Gundam lore, huh? But yeah, as I was like researching for this, I found out about the Perfect Files and the Fact Files like magazines. I didn't know they were free to be downloaded online. They are free to be downloaded online. They're on in an archive, like the scans of it. Like this, that is such a huge like resources that I didn't think I would have access to, but now we do. I do have that access to now, which is both cool but also frustrating because they're not translated, which means I have to like it's so easy for me to like miss them or like whatever. Like the thing is about these magazines, right? They have like a glossary, like a table of contents at the front, like a magazine that kind of shows everything that that's available in these magazines. But the problem is with that glossary or whatever you want to call it, they didn't mark the books which they're from. So they just show you what's available, but you don't know, they don't tell you which book they're in. So I have to like scour through all 150 books just to find specific things which or may not that can be easily missed because the scans are in Chinese. If it's in Japanese, I might be able to read it a bit, but this is like fully Chinese. So I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to figure this out just by skimming through it. I have to like possibly I possibly have to like slowly what do you call that? Slowly translate each page to find out what is what, and that's gonna take a while. Like I'm starting to do that now. I'm starting to catalog my own my own like glossary, I guess, which book has what. But that's gonna take a while. It will take a while. And these are two separate series. That's Fact Files and there's Perfect Files. Perfect Files is a newer one. Currently, I'm going through Fact Files, and I'm only at, I haven't reached 100 yet, so I'm like still far away. I've only reached like 30, so I'm still like way too. I'm still so far away from cataloging the entire magazine line. And it's not only UC timeline stuff. There's also other timeline stuff which kind of makes things a bit more complicated in terms of. I mean, it is labeled what is what, but it's not labeled in English or whatever. What book like these specific chapters are at, which is immensely annoying. But yeah, this like me having to catalog these things and having to rely on translating these things over on Google or whatever, having to find them first and then translating them. This stuff, I think this will mean that Gundam videos might slow down a bit. Like I don't want to slow down, but I think it's slowed down. Like the wiki, I think the wiki does use information from this, but I don't know if they use everything because in one of the magazines, where the Gelgoog was kind of featured as like a thing, like the explanation, I guess. It shows you like all the companies involved in it. It tells you that the companies involved in the production of Gelgoog, they kind of like so basically Zionic led the way, but Zmad did the thrusters, and MIP did the gun technology, and a bunch of other companies did the mono eye or whatever. And that was never explained in the wiki. So I don't know if I should trust the wiki or not. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest, dude. Like on my previous videos, I rely on the wiki a lot and on mangas that I've read. Probably this bunch of mangas I haven't read yet, but I rely on those two mostly. I didn't really rely on this thing because mostly I didn't know I could get it. But now that I can, I'm happy, but I'm also annoyed because of the barriers I need to go through. But yeah, I think Gundam videos might slow down for a bit. At least like once, like based on the anime. If it's like a manga or game one, I might be able to get away with like just using what's available online because I don't think those magazines cover like manga and um game suits. So I think the next Gundam video, I think I'm gonna go with like a game suit, maybe like the exam system. I was asked to do an exam system, so maybe the next one I will go through the exam system. See, go through like the crazy guys. Why he hates. I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, this MIP video, I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of last minute idea. I was like, I didn't know, like, just literally the day before I had to start production of this week's video, I was like, what the heck do I do? I don't know. And then I just be like, I kind of want to start doing water suits, and I do want to start going through water suits. And then the Z God just came into mind. I was like, oh, maybe I can look into MIP or whatever, and that's it. So if this seems a bit scuffed or uninspiring, probably why it is a rush video. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe if I don't have any idea, maybe I could skip a week. I don't know. What do you think? Like if I don't have any ideas or whatever, like it turns out I'm not as creative as I thought I am. But what do you think? Like if I don't have any ideas, should I just skip the week or should I just still try to pump something out? Because I do want to keep doing something over the week. I don't want to leave a week unchecked. I guess because I think that will affect that one you guys some of you guys are paying me per per month, so I have to keep that a certain level of production up. And no, I just want I don't I just want to keep one out. I don't want to leave you guys hanging or whatever. I mean, you got me to where I am right now. Not a lot. It's still 1,000. Not a lot, but that's still a lot for me, and that's the least I can do for everybody is to just keep pumping something, at least something out once a week. But if I don't have any ideas, what do you think? Should I just try to rush one out, or should I like take a week off or whatever, or something like that? I don't know. Yeah, I think the next one will be an exam will be exam system since I believe that's a lot. I think that should be a lot easier for me to find information from that's not from the wiki. If I don't want to rely on the wiki, probably I am reading the manga. I'm reading the manga. It's not fully done yet, but I think the development part of it should be able to rely on it. Fully translated yet even. But yeah. The next one will be the exam system, and that one should be less stressful. Like this wasn't stressful. No, it was stressful. This one was stressful to write. It wasn't stressful to get. It was just stressful to write because I found out about this whole magazine thing. But that's not the problem for another time. I think I'm going on rambling right now. But anyway, yeah, that was MIP. Bit of an introductory thing. I was hoping. I think later on, I'll use. We'll start dipping into like the water suits. I'm gonna have to read the art guy manga first. That's also not translated, so that's gonna be fun. I'll read Doctor Art Guy because apparently that details water units. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say right now. Sorry for a bit of a ramble, but this right now the ending stream will open up, and this is where I say that's for this week's briefing, pilots. Thanks for joining me. If you like what we see, if you like to see more briefing on the forces you would see on the Earth sphere, right? The sphere that we're gonna attack one day as Jovians, because I don't like those guys. We don't like them. We don't like those guys. We don't know why. We just don't like the Earth, right? We're gonna free ourselves from the clutches of Earth. Jupiter will be free, right? And in order to do that, we need more pilots. So please, we require your help. Would you like to learn more? You can learn more by clicking the sub button right there. But if you do not want to learn too much more, I guess you can just click the like button, and then that will spread to other people who would like to learn more. You know, or you could just leave a comment. That would help as well. But yeah, you could join my personal what do you call that, graveyard, the Jupiter Colony chat room, the Discord. Yes, that's where we talk to each other. It's more of a graveyard, but not really. Getting better. People are talking somewhat. It's still there. Getting there. Getting there to be a lot more livelier, which is good. I don't want it to be a graveyard. Just thank you for the people who talk over there. I also stream my gaming. I mean my training sessions. My training sessions. I stream my training sessions on here or on Twitch. If you prefer Twitch, on Twitch you can play sounds and annoy me and other people by clicking the play ad button, which you can do. You can force an ad on people. Yes. But other than that, glory for the Jupiter colony. Take care, buddy. Keep on the fight, and as you fight, as per usual, remember that please do not die.